Every executive who has signed off on an AI deployment has implicitly taken a position on a set of risk and ethics questions, whether they thought about them explicitly or not. We aren't here to marvel at the tech today. You know it exists. We're not doing the whole future of work preamble. Instead, we're going to look at what happens when these systems break and how organizations actually practically control them. There's this really counterintuitive argument at the heart of effective AI leadership. The organizations that manage AI risk well are not those that take the fewest risks. Actually, often they take more risks and they move faster. It feels like a paradox, right? But explicit risk management, deliberately choosing which risks to accept and building the governance structures to monitor them, that is the exact mechanism that lets an organization safely accelerate its deployments. It's the brakes that allow you to drive fast. To understand why that governance is absolutely critical, we have to look at how AI differs fundamentally from the enterprise systems we're all used to. Think about traditional software. It's deterministic. It either works as specified or it throws an error code. The failures are predictable. AI systems, though, they're probabilistic. They operate on probability distributions. And what that means practically is that they can fail silently. They can confidently output a legally disastrous hallucination or, say, a flawed financial analysis with absolutely no error message to warn the user. If we map these threats out, plotting the likelihood against the actual business impact, the upper right quadrant is really where you need to focus. Things like hallucinations in critical decisions or data privacy breaches. These aren't exotic black swan events. They aren't worst-case scenarios. They are the natural, highly likely failure modes of an undergoverned AI deployment. And some risks are even harder to spot. Consider bias in consequential decisions, like an algorithmic tool screening job applications. This is uniquely insidious because it can be statistically invisible on a case-by-case basis. A hiring system might reject a slightly higher percentage of a certain demographic without any single rejection looking obviously wrong to a human reviewer. Individually, the outputs seem perfectly plausible, but systematically, they generate illegal, population-level harm that you will literally only catch if you are explicitly looking for it. So risk management without a real framework is really just an aspiration. Achieving actual operational control demands 3 strict layers. It starts at the top, the strategic layer, with the board setting the overall risk appetite. Right below that sits the operational layer. Think of a governance committee reviewing specific use cases and vendors. And finally, the execution layer, where the technical teams actually implement prompt standards and human review checkpoints. The thing is, all 3 are absolutely required. A strong board policy simply cannot compensate for a lack of technical monitoring on the ground. Ultimately, this entire structure really has to be viewed through a strictly pragmatic lens. AI governance is not a compliance exercise. It is a value protection exercise. Organizations that treat governance as just some bureaucratic overhead fundamentally misunderstand the math here. The reputational, legal, and operational overhead of a single public AI failure will always exceed the overhead of preventative governance. Which leaves us with a rather stark operational tension to consider about our own readiness. You might have an acceptable use policy. You might even have a board mandate. But as you deploy these probabilistic systems into high-stakes environments, ask yourself this: do we have an incident response process for AI failures that is as robust as our process for other system failures?